I'm Clayton. A couple weeks ago, we learned how to 360, but today I'm teaching you how to 360 tail whip. Before you jump into actually trying a through whip, I really want you to make sure that you have 360s so dialed. So I want you to have it on different obstacles, such as the pyramid and especially fly out. The problem that I think a lot of people have with 3 whips or 3 bar spins or even jumping to 3 bris is you start doing it before you're even ready to start doing it. I want you to have 360s so dialed you can do them almost with your eyes closed. So, now that you're ready to add the tail whip, another thing you need to have dialed is the tail whip, obviously. So when you go to add these together, the way I like to look at it and my mindset towards a 360 tail whip, initiate the 360, and as you initiate the 360, your mind goes away from the 3 because you've already started your rotation, and then you want to have your mind only on the tail whip. So once you throw the tail whip, you focus only on the tail whip, you catch it, and then your mind is back at the 360 to finish the rest of the 360. The best spot to start learning this trick is, I would say, where you've learned the 360s at. So whether that's out of a steep bank or a quarter pipe, whatever. But if you're trying to find a new location to try this, like a steep quarter is just not the spot for you, I would say try to find a somewhat mellow quarter pipe or a steep bank. Everyone does this trick just a little bit different. So the timing of when you throw the tail whip really depends on the size of your scooter and the size of you. So some people will do it right out of the spin, and some people will do it midway through the spin. And I'll show you the difference between those. All right, this first one is right off the lip. Now the other way is a little bit later. And the reason why you would need to do a tail whip later is if the quarter itself is a little bit steeper or if your deck is a little bit longer. So there's different ways of doing the tail whip, and this is actually gonna benefit you learning both these ways because it'll help you with combinations later on. So the earlier you learn the tail whip off the lip, the easier it's gonna be to throw a late bar spin or multiple other tail whips. And then the later you can do a tail whip, it makes it easier when you, for example, wanna add a bar to late tail whip. When initiating this trick, you can either flick with your front foot or you can flick with your back foot. It doesn't really matter, but all of that comes down to what you're most comfortable with. So if you normally throw the tail whip with your front foot, stick to that. If you normally throw it with your back foot, also stick to that. It just makes the trick more consistent and easier. But catching it is another thing. When you first start doing this trick, you're going to more than likely land the tail whip as you get the 360 around, which is completely fine. But the goal is that you want to get to where you're able to catch the tail whip midway through the 360. Mainly so that way when you start doing more combinations, and if you're trying to do it over different obstacles, it just makes it a lot safer to land. And bringing that back to the very beginning, just learning a tail whip. The best way you're gonna learn how to catch a tail whip in a 360 is just learning how to catch a tail whip fly out. The more you work on that, the easier the tail whip's gonna be, the easier more tail whips are gonna be, combinations, riding transition, just everything in general is gonna be a lot easier once you learn how to catch tail whips. If you're having trouble catching the tail whip midway through the 360, or in general, I would say spend a couple days and just work on it. I wanna touch base on something that is very important. And this really works for most tricks. And the point I wanna make is separating tricks. I feel like a lot of people, when they're learning something new, they try to rush it. So something that I think people do a lot of the time, and this is actually for most tricks, a lot of things are happening at once, and a 360 whip is one of those things. You have the ground moving a lot, you're having a deck moving around you, and there's just a lot going on for your brain to comprehend, and you need to separate those out. And this is going to help you with a lot of other tricks. What I like to do is separate and put them into parts. So part 1 of a 3 whip is initiating the 360. It's part 1. Part 2 is you just could go completely blank from the 360 because 1, your momentum's already started. Your body already knows what to do in the air because you've done it so many times. So don't think of this as a 3 whip. Think of it as a 360 tail whip. Break them apart. And that concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any other tutorials you want Will or I to do, please comment them down below. If you're still having trouble with this or really any other trick, shoot them my way on Instagram. I'm happy to help you out, give you some tips. Also, outlet number 2 is coming to Austin, Texas, September 3rd. So that's gonna be super sweet. Make sure you check out the first video. It'll be up here in the cards. That video is super sick, and it'll give you a great idea of what is to be expected at 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 of them this year. Insane. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay positive, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.